interesting on that site. I haven't looked at it. I'm really glad you're out there.
It's thanks. It's a lot of mostly recreation, kayaking, watercraft recreation interest. That's who's the most active. Some people post, just beauty shots if they're hiking along the river corridor or, down by the dam area. But a lot of it is, after rain events, like what's are there down trees, very functional, operational based questions. Hey, heads up, this is something that's new that can someone get out there to clear. I see some of that chatter happening. So I think I kept it open because I wanted it to kind of just be what it needed to be for the community and not try to have it be too narrow. So I did include like angling, as a, condition for it, but I don't see that activity much there yet. So I think it is more watercraft focused recreation.
I do have a question for you, Katie. Thanks for your work on that, by the way. I'll have to find you guys. I guess I'm not familiar with the group, but I'm kind of curious how many. And you may have mentioned this while I was up. I had to calm the dog down inside. But I'm kind of curious as to how many followers you have and how consistent the activity is on the page.
Sure. Let me just share a link there in the chat. So if you have an internet browser open, you can visit it right now. And I'm just looking at it right now. It's got 409 members that follow, that subscribe. And that's without, again, I set it up as more of a public service funnel. I've done less trying to drive traffic there to get people to join. Usually when I see, or when other people see comments in the larger community group pages, that they then redirect them to this page as a way to, there's a lot of traffic on the bigger pages, and sometimes those smaller niche requests get lost. And so by having it be more narrowed focused, it's just more, you get better feedback. You kind of get the real scoop from people who have been just on the river, or they're taking a new group. So I kind of hope that, outfitters or some of the other users might start using it a little more. It definitely really got quiet throughout the winter season, and it's starting to pick up again.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think there's a lot of, it just gets the gears turning on a lot of different ways that we can kind of collaborate together and I guess kind of communicate really effectively to the town on what's going on and kind of the different processes that develop moving forward. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Katie, for that introduction. Any other questions for her? Otherwise, I see we have one other guest titled Klaus Zimmer at Mayo. I'm wondering if that's your actual name or if that's Sandy.
That's not my actual name, no. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is actually Tavia Trollson, and I'm from Hudson.
Hi, Tavia. Nice of you to join us. Thank you.
Thanks. I work every Tuesday out on a farm in Amory, so I'm on the...
Gotcha. Well, thank you for making time for this. We really appreciate it. Hope the information from Katie's group is of interest to you. That's open to the public. And of course, we have our website, Facebook page, and YouTube channel for following as well. So I'm just going to comment, we are recording this session for rebroadcast. I realized I hadn't poked the record button quite early enough to catch the introductions. I was going to do that real quick again, and then we'll open the meeting and move forward. This is the Kinney Corridor Collaborative May 2021 board meeting, open to the public. We are recording it. We have a quorum with our president, myself, Judy Babcock, our vice president, Michelle Maher, the treasurer, David Babcock, Scott Eichchen, and Amanda Hansen, committee members, directors at large. And we are expecting Duke Welter, our vice chair. Katie Meyer could not join it, or sorry, Caitlin Meyer could not join us, our secretary, as she was busy tonight. We have Katie Pata as a guest. We have, and I'm sorry, say your name again. Say your name again, I'm sorry. Oh,
I was just mute. I don't know, the computer just kept muting me. Tavia.
Okay, thank you. And then Brant Johnson from the City of River Falls. We also have representatives from Hope for Creation here, and we're going to get to them quickly. Tom Westerhoos and Mike Noreen, and we're expecting Sandy Taufner. So I will call the meeting officially to order at 5:43 and ask our board to review the agenda, which they received in advance, and accept a motion to adopt the agenda. If there are any, if we can.
So moved.
Scott moved. Do I need a second?
I'll second. This is Amanda.
Okay. Thanks, Amanda. So I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. The agenda is adopted. Were there any conflicts of interest that the board wanted to report with the items on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. We typically at this point choose to review either our vision or mission. I think we did mission the last time, so I'm going to jump to the last page and just review the vision. Vision of the Kinney Corridor Collaborative grew out of the Kinney Corridor Plan and the collaboration amongst the community back in 2018 and prior, as the community decided how they might like the corridor to look in the future. So as we look to the future of the Kinney, we see an enhanced river corridor in the heart of the community with a free-flowing cold water stream and habitat that everyone can access and enjoy. And as we look to the future of our community, we see a network of partners, private and public landowners, and passionate, engaged citizens acting to create a sustainable development, educational, recreational, and public spaces that attract economic, public, and private investment. So we're looking for benefits for our community to work together and protect the health and beauty of our river, and while we enjoy it for now and future generations. All right, minutes approval for the meeting from April 12th. Minutes were posted in the board folder immediately after the meeting. Any questions or discussion about the minutes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I missed, that was David.
Second.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Michelle, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, the minutes are adopted and they are in the file. All right, partner organization review. So we as a collaborative are always looking for partners who we can support and who can support our mission, and we work mutually towards the goals that we share. So tonight we have a presentation, a quick overview from Hope for Creation to talk about their organization and the work they've been doing since 2015. Is that right, Tom? If I read your notes right. And then we have a proposal in front of the board to consider officially affiliating with Hope for Creation if they'll have us. So we'll go from there. So Tom, would you like to take it away? Are you opening the presentation?
Yes, I am, Judy. Thank you for having us. And I do see our other presenters, our Sandy and Mike are here, and I'll ask each of them to introduce themselves. I'm Tom Westerhouse. My claim to fame was I was superintendent for the school district here in River Falls and a member of Rotary, which is where I got to meet and work with Judy. Now I'm retired and very involved in Hope for Creation. I'm on the leadership team for Hope for Creation, and I've been involved in a nonprofit of Twin Cities called Jeffers Foundation, which is outdoor learning. So it's an exciting time and a good field. So I'm going to start. Oh, by the way, Judy, I can't recall, did they get the brochure and the kind of the poop sheet on Jeffers Foundation as an attachment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We're embedded in the agenda along with the proposal.
Okay, sounds good. I am going to start with a quote that I just really believe in, regardless of our topic. It's a Carlo Rovelli quote, and it says, "The way to think about the world is that of change, not permanence, not of being, but of learning and becoming." So we at Hope for Creation are becoming and learning, and of course the last year and a half has been a challenge with COVID, but we're still very active, and Judy's right. It was 2015 that we began. And who are we? We are really people of faith who care about our earth, our community. We care about sustainability. We believe that it's not just the government's responsibility to take action, but individuals and churches. And we always kind of like to say what we are not, because some people kind of hear some of our words and think who we are. We're not creationists, which go back to the Bible creation, although some may be in our group. We're not necessarily tree huggers. but some may be. We're not necessarily protesters, although some have been. We're not Democrats or Republicans. Some may be left or right politically. We're not holy rollers. You know, you hear the church piece and so on, and you think, oh boy, these are holy rollers. We're not. We're not dissatisfied with River Falls. I think that's kind of important. We've been, in fact, we're just the opposite. We're very proud of River Falls community. Really, this Hope for Creation started with two churches in River Falls, First Congregational and St. Bridget's, coming together to discuss Pope Francis's encyclical called Laudato Si, Care of Our Earth, Our Common Home. And we keep coming back to that, care of our earth. That's our part of our job. Expanded to any church or individuals or institutions interested. It's not a requirement to be a person of faith or an organization of faith. We have connections with UW River Falls and School District of River Falls and the City of River Falls. I do want to make it clear that none of those three organizations have taken the role of an actual affiliation or partnership. We have members from each of those groups who are very active in our organization. But I suspect perhaps because of church and state and so on, they're careful, I think, and so they've not necessarily joined us. We have a thing that you've received, that sheet that's our mission, vision, and also a brochure about us. I think just so that we're all on the same page, in case you haven't had a chance to see it, our mission is short. Mission of Hope for Creation is to create a hopeful, ecologically sustainable future for River Falls through interfaith collaboration, education, partnerships, advocacy, and action. Now, granted, that's really talking about River Falls. We know River Falls is part of a large state and the Midwest and the country and the world. So, but our job is to say, okay, what can we do right here in our community to really help promote sustainability? We meet monthly. I think in one of your memos to your members, Judy, you mentioned steering committee, and that's what we used to call ourselves for our monthly meeting. Steering committee makes it sound like we're like the ones in charge. Well, we're all members, so it's really just Hope for Creation meetings that meet once a month by Zoom for the last year. Prior to that, we were active in various places for our monthly meetings. We have 4 subcommittees that Hope for Creation functions with. There's a spiritual relational committee that Sandy, who's here tonight, heads that committee. We have practical solutions, which Mike Noreen heads from the City of River Falls. Sandy's from Ezekiel Church. We tie in the practical solutions with Mike's work through the city through Powerful Choices. And then I'm a committee chair for systemic change, so that it's not just today's changes, recycling or whatever that might be, but it's how is our system going to change for long-term sustainability action for our community. In fact, we keep talking more and more about the 7-generation decisions and kind of the indigenous concept of, it's not about me, it's not about my children, it's not about my grandchildren, it's 7 generations that we're trying to work through with the systemic committee. We've tied in with Wisconsin Interfaith Power and Light, as I guess we are an affiliate with them now. We've signed an agreement, a covenant with them. And we're somewhat, maybe more than just incidentally, but not in any formal partnership with PC Grow, Pierce County grassroots organization. And our 4th committee is communications and outreach. And so as I was saying, PC Grow and Wisconsin Interfaith Power and Light, one of our big projects this last winter was, okay, who are we and where are we going? So we kind of analyzed what we've done and where we're going. And Mike will speak to that in a little bit, but we do think that it's important for us to network and to share our story. That's why we spoke to Rotary, and Judy picked up on that and said, come on over and talk to us. And we also think we need to do work in our own churches to say, because we're not so sure they even know what we're about. So we're trying to really spread the word and get more involvement with other organizations and involvement in our own organization. So lastly, before I turn to Sandy, we have a leadership team that meets the week before and sort of strategizes on Hope for Creation initiatives, meetings, make some decisions for the larger group. I suppose maybe in some sense similar to your board, and kind of developing and creating some larger activities. And we thought it would be helpful for you to know some of those activities that we have done. And I think Sandy's gonna zero in on that. So Sandy, introduce yourself, please, and talk about Hope for Creation activities.
Thanks, Tom. I apologize for being late. I had some connection issues. I'm Sandy Toffner, and I happen to work at Ezekiel Lutheran Church, but I've been involved in my green team at my church, which then allowed me to find out about Hope for Creation, and I became involved in Hope for Creation. Some of the things that we've been doing since our creation, building on that sustainability agreement that the university, the city of River Falls, and the school district all signed in 2012. And the study group that Congregational Church in St. Bridget's had was bringing more people together. So in 2018, we decided to invite Paul Douglas, well known in our area as a conservative meteorologist. And we brought in a large crowd. It was like, great, there are a large number of people that are interested in this topic. In 2019, we did our formal commitment, each church needing to sign off on a commitment to participate and be active in this organization. And we were looking at, so if we look at a liturgical year and try to place that, because we are communities of faith, what do we do? And we had an intentional year of living creationally. So we planned out guessing, kind of in a year, what are we going to do? We started that with a harvest festival that fall, just as a way for Hope for Creation to gather, share a harvest festival, if you will, and celebrate the fact that we are together and we want to move forward. We've made sure that there are green teams formed at all of our partner churches, with Mike Noreen being a big part of that, helping them understand, here's what a green team is, what do they do, here's ideas. And his powerful choices with the City of River Falls monthly meetings is a way for individuals to network with others, get sustainable ideas, initiatives, things that we can do as a community and as individuals. We've tried to, from my angle, I chair the spiritual relational group. We've had resources during Advent and Lent to help people focus on, here's a season of the year that we can maybe pray, think about, meditate, whatever it is you do towards caring for God, the earth that we all share. We've done a lot with passing on sustainability tips that individuals can do, and we've been able to distribute that through our churches in our newsletters or our weekly bulletins, and that's been an avenue. In December of 2019, we had Marty Haugen, who has written a ton of liturgical music. We gathered at St. Bridget's. It was an interfaith connection to celebrate the season and be together as a group. We've had 2 public meetings where we had over 250 people attend, called Partnering for a Sustainable River Falls. So this was held at the high school. We first told everybody that came, here's what the school district is doing, the university, CVTC, who's the city, to educate ourselves on what's already happening around us towards sustainability. And then we gathered to come up with some specific action plans into small topic areas. But COVID got in our way. COVID happened and we have not met any further from that point, but we plan to do that. We participated in the 50 for 50 tree planting with the city to celebrate the 50th years of Earth Day last year. It was a little harder because we couldn't come together to do that. We've participated with the university's Student Sustainability Fair, just to get the word out about who we are and how we can participate with them, and things like the city electronics, getting the word out. Last fall, we had a Vote for Creation campaign, so we made bumper stickers, and we're not partisan in any way. Our whole theme was just think about creation and the earth when you're doing your voting. Vote for whomever you want. We're not telling you who to vote for, but we want you to remember earth is really important, and that may influence who you want to have in positions of power. We had a climate change.
Yeah, I think we got most of your activities in a very long list it was. So thank you. More to share?
Just a couple things that we did have this climate series that we started to help people during Zoom, COVID. Zooming as a way, and the library was instrumental in doing that. They're hosting it on their Facebook and YouTube channels. And then we also started our first book discussion with the community. It was 5 weeks of discussing braiding sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. So
nice.
That's my kind of the piece of this pie here.
Yeah, and I think I'll ask a question along the same lines that Scott asked Katie. So how large is your participant group generally across your affiliates? When you have the book club, for example, do you have
we had the book
a
club?
pretty good sized group?
There were like 26 people that participated, some,
That's nice.
more than others, but
Yeah.
we were really pleased with that.
Yeah.
I think there's been several hundred people that have looked at the various climate series videos. Because it's sitting there, you don't have to just listen to it when it's being broadcast initially recorded. So we get a big pickup after that.
Right. Yeah, it's been a great series. I've enjoyed watching a few of them that I've watched. So nice
Yeah.
of the library is a good partner that way too.
Absolutely.
You mentioned, Sandy, that one of them was impact on fish. Didn't we have a speaker on?
Yeah.
So
We had
obviously.
one on birds.
And birds, yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So was I the only one that was bumped out of the meeting, or is
No,
that
I think
something-
everybody had to come back in, Tom.
Okay.
So we're
All right.
we're probably all in the same group again.
I thought you were just tired,
It may be, yeah.
of us, who knows? Anyway, thanks, Sandy. We'll go to Mike next. And then, we can take questions at any point, but Mike, you're on. Mike is gonna talk about the future, or what we're doing now and where we're going.
Thank you. And when I saw the list of all the participants that are in the Kinney Corridor Collaborative, I was quite impressed, in part because I know a lot of people on there and I like them. I like you guys, and you get a lot done. So I was happy to join in. I was also happy to see how organized and formal you were with your minutes and organization, because we too benefit from that. And in particular, I'd say Tom, he knows how to work in different structures, like working with the city. So when we need some formal communication with them, I think we go about it the right way, and sending letters or finding out who we need to talk to and not stepping on toes and working collaboratively. So I see that in you guys as well. So it looks like it could be a good partnership. So with Hope for Creation, and as it mentioned before, that everyone is welcome. We've got, whether it's Christians or Buddhists or Unitarians or you name it, you're welcome. And so my role comes from the practical perspective. And what I do for the city is I encourage and promote programs and create programs for people to take action. And as we all know, people take action for different reasons. And maybe it's return on investment, maybe it's social pressure, maybe it's just because they like to be the first one to adopt a new program. But with Hope for Creation, it's a little bit different. People are taking action for more often than not, their moral and ethical reasons, and it's been very fruitful. This is, it's a different group in that people are as Hope for Creation as a leaders of these churches who are looking for opportunities to make change, and they're looking for opportunities for those moral and ethical reasons. So a lot of good things happen. Internally at churches, they have green teams that are starting up, and the timing was kind of rough with COVID, I admit. But they also are always welcome to Powerful Choices meetings, and that was going really well. We were getting lots of good input and lots of participation, and I've seen a number of you guys that have been to Powerful Choices meetings, and you can use it for the same reason, whereas you're coming there to learn, but you're also coming there to share what is going on in your world, and to join that network of people. And it's worked out really well. So internally, the churches, through the green teams and through Powerful Choices, we've had a number of opportunities through practicality, whether it's energy audits of the churches, whether it's light bulb exchanges, trying to get something out that we don't want anymore, that wasteful light bulb, and exchange it with an LED light bulb, and battery recycling. And then, as we had talked about, getting solar panels on churches, and we're on our third church. What I bring is, because I work in this field, the knowledge of programs that are coming up, or the ability to develop new programs. So sometimes these programs are absolutely free. And I just have a difficult time getting it out to everybody. But through Hope for Creation, we've got a bunch of champions that are able to bring these out to groups of people that are willing to make those change. So that's kind of the internal and those for the churches. And externally, of course, we had the Powerful Choices. And when COVID hit, we kind of pivoted a little bit to keep people engaged, and we went with the climate change speaker series. We found that it actually worked better. We had some of the speakers lined up, or one of them, I guess, but it was too expensive. But then when COVID hit, suddenly that cost was gone. And we started to develop a little bit. You get one Nobel Peace Laureate on the list, and then suddenly people are like, oh yeah, I'll speak with that. And so we got another, and then we get the Lieutenant Governor, and then we get Tia Nelson. So we're starting to build some momentum, and I guess the word is out, which is great. Also, other statewide organizations, whether it's Interfaith Power and Light or other, the UCC statewide organization, invited us to present to them, and for them to learn from what we have done, and we learned a great deal from them. So people are coming to us now, which is a wonderful thing. And then when I go from internal to the external, and then to the city, and I touched on that a little bit of how we work with the city and see opportunities. One is through the comprehensive plan. With the comprehensive plan is we're just getting started right now. Part of my role is to kind of hit up the sustainability part of things. And so with that, instead of bringing everybody to the table, it's more of, if you want to talk sustainability, you tend to kind of go through me, or if you want to talk about streets, you go through an engineer that's on that committee. So with that, we are just getting started, but Hope for Creation intends to be quite involved in the comprehensive plan that's coming up, and I would imagine you guys would too, or maybe already are. So that's kind of my role, the practicality, the nuts and bolts kind of things, and I hope that we have a fruitful partnership between us and you guys.
I hope so too. I think there's a lot of synergy potential, and certainly being able to reach out to an organization with this breadth across our community that's already established will help communicate, just as Katie talked about with her group. So lots of good opportunities.
Couple of thoughts to follow Mike. First of all, he's kind of a self-effacing kind of person.
Yes.
River Falls is so fortunate and that the city council has continued to make this position an important position, but I'm not sure Hope for Creation would be anywhere near where it is without Mike Nareen at work. So hats off. And I think you probably have already recognized that with your consortium as well. And I said it before, I'm going to say it again. We say hats off to River Falls. I can't even remember the award that was just written up in the statewide newsletter, but River Falls is way out ahead of most cities in the state in terms of sustainability and solar and Mike Nareen. So we're proud of that, and that's made it easier to hook on to with our goals. We would, as I mentioned at Rotary, we always love new members. I saw in Jody's email about appointing someone it wouldn't be the steering committee, but it would be the Hope for Creation group that meets. That's kind of how we worked with other organizations, is that, it'd be nice to have, I mean, we can't require it, but it'd be nice to have someone that attends our sustainability so they can look for opportunities for that partnering and networking too. And then we, of course, would encourage our members to, at least a member to be tied in with your group, or at least be not on your board necessarily, but an observer of what you're doing with your work so that we understood and can support your efforts. So we're really encouraging that with chamber and businesses and individuals. And then Mike, maybe I missed it, but we're also, and this I think is what you also clued in on, Judy, when you heard us at Rotary, one of our initiatives that we're working on, it's not there yet, but is getting various levels of pledges or affiliations or commitments, both an individual to their commitment to sustainability, churches, of course, businesses, organizations, whatever we want to call it, proclamations, whatever. And that's where Judy went to work, as obviously I recall that she was a doer, not a sit on your rear end. You do it all. And so she's put together this proclamation,
it's an affiliation agreement, basically, just a supportive kind of structure, because you had some for your churches, but you didn't have one for this. So feel free to model it if you like it.
Right. Yes. And so it kind of got us going to be finding other ways to connect with others. So one other, let's see. Yeah, one other thing, I did put to just the leadership, which is only 4 or 5 of us. I did put out that proclamation or resolution to them. And most are really pretty supportive. They wanted more information. They don't know as much about your organization. And they wanted it known by your group that we've not taken any position on the KinniCC River Dam. And we have members that are, both sides of the dam. And we've really actually sort of set that aside so that we didn't. But anyway, there are members that are absolutely opposed to freeing McKinney and those that want to.
And our position is around whatever the corridor plan and community wants, that's what we'll support, right? That's our position. So this is what the community has decided to do, and it kind of aggregates, so we're supporting it. But I understand that there are others who don't agree.
Yep.
So, and Tom, I would like to jump in real briefly and point out kind of just a neat potential I guess opportunity for kind of networking, collaborating with those individuals who do share that point of view, which is, there are legitimate reasons behind it. But with this last year and all the changes with the corridor and the dam from the flood, there are a lot of significant changes that essentially kind of put it ultimately any arguments for leaving the dams in by the wayside. And those are different conversations that we can kind of work together and have, because the more that we can all collaborate and get on the same page about this, the better we'll head in the right direction. So
thank you, Scott. I can actually see a real value from your organization helping to educate ours about this topic, because there's been the meetings and and people kind of locking in on various positions. But I think that would be really fruitful for us to hear more about, not necessarily tonight, but our whole group to really understand the issues and be educated.
And vice versa, for us to understand where the community is, on aggregate at, from a view standpoint. So I guess I just wanted to point that out too.
We're open. We're absolutely open to all of those discussions and don't have a firm position other than to support the city's projects.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay. Questions for Tom, Sandy, or Mike?
I do have a couple of quick questions for you guys. And I guess just one, I guess another relative parallel that I'd like to point out within my own industry, the lodging industry. My wife and I operate a hotel in the north end of town. And this past year, we've involved ourselves in a pretty big effort to kind of streamline the assistance structure within the local area when it comes to housing for people in need. And the faith communities have recently, and I guess I should back up a bit. The faith communities have always been involved, but this past year there was a major breakthrough in involving the faith communities with a lot of the, I guess you could say, quasi-governmental entities that have a lot of state funding and such. So long story short, there was a major, I guess, door opened up to the faith communities within this kind of realm. And we've really seen a lot of major improvements when it comes to the assistance for individuals in need in the area. We've found that the local faith organizations are just full of individuals who are very passionate about the area and are very hardworking individuals, just ready to support. So I guess that's a somewhat similar parallel I could draw in kind of a related partnership that we've seen this past year within the lodging industry in town. And it's been a very good thing for the area. So one question I do have for Sandy, Tom, or Mike, whatever, have you guys discussed any potential ideas for if and when we do move forward with such a partnership, what kind of projects or, more boots on the ground type efforts you would envision working on with us?
I'll jump in, but the other two certainly can too. But by the way, I'm just really pleased of your first comments on the faith community. We really, I think a lot of our efforts is on creation and sustainability and so on, and climate change. But we are very strongly, we believe climate justice and the impact on poor and homeless and struggling. So you did our hearts good by saying that. I'm glad to hear that. I don't know what congregations or involvement it was, but thank you. I talked too long on that. Your question for us, projects. Really, another one that the Systemic Change Committee that just talked about last week when we met was, we can't leave these 200 plus people hanging just because COVID interrupted where we were going with action teams. We had action teams over water, land usage, food sourcing, education. I can't remember them all, but there were lots of those small groups that were really, they each had their own little leader, not necessarily from our organization. We were probably members of these action teams, but we weren't leading all the action teams. And that was November before COVID and January before COVID, lots of big meetings at our high school. And then they were all asked to come back with some action team recommendations on their specific topic area and that was to have been in April of 2020. Well, COVID stopped almost everything. And so we just had I would say one of our big projects that is waiting out there when the time is right is reconvening these many citizens who are concerned and have ideas and passions about things to do in River Falls to help with this topic. So that's right off the top, that it just feels like we need to do that. And then kind of a parallel to that is, we also think there's value in welcoming back post-COVID celebration next year during Earth Week, April of 2022. For anybody, and maybe an educational value, educational opportunities and potluck and sort of that socializing, maybe at Glen Park or somewhere. Again, that's coming from a subcommittee. The full organization hasn't said yay or nay, but I think there's definitely interest in some of those big projects to get people energized again, back to promoting our mission, and I think yours as well.
There were
How about
so many opportunities because David and I attended that community committee meeting. I think many of our group did. There were so many parallels of things that we'll be talking about with a comprehensive plan, as Mike said, that I think it's going to be really good to marry that work together. Should be really interesting when you get energized again, Tom.
Yep, I think so too. Mike,
Yeah,
or Andy, did you want to add anything to Scott?
All I wanted to add is in part of what we're hoping the relational end that I work with is if having these large gatherings again, post-COVID, is that chance for us to talk face to face and share our personal information. You know, having a table where your organization can share some specifics about what you're doing to help people become more aware of. And I think sometimes that being together face to face really can make an impact with individuals rather than a piece of paper they get in the mail or an article they read in the paper. But here's a chance kind of on the ground. Here's how you can help us and we can help you feel better about our environment, our river, for goodness sakes, the most wonderful resource. So.
Great point. All right, anybody else have questions?
I have a
Right.
comment for you.
Yeah,
I
great, Michelle.
noticed that one of your church affiliations was not the river. And I'm wondering if you want contact information to see if they want to be part of Hope for Creation.
Yes, yes, and yes. Originally, we invited every church in the sort of the River Falls area, the ones that are even outside the city of River Falls. And they all had personal contact and so on. And for various reasons, the churches that are there that are now part of us said yes. But the others, we would love it. And the contact would be really helpful because actually at the time, I think there was a change of pastor going on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so I'd love that, Michelle. If you can help, I'd be more than welcome to invite them.
It would be good to have a conversation. That's Caleb who's with them. And I think the reason I know is they're using the theater auditorium through the end of May for their meeting space right now. So I see them weekly. So the theater is ready for them, but they will be moving back to their property now come June 1st. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great connection, Michelle. And I thank you too for supporting the idea of a formal collaboration with Hope for Creation. If we can make that partnership figure out how it would work. So I appreciate your bringing that to the table, Michelle. All right, so as part of the board packet, then I did send out a resolution draft supporting the collaboration. It sounds like, Tom, your leadership team and steering group or whatever your group, kind of process is, would like to talk some more before they sort of agree to the concept. Do you feel like it's useful now for us to at least adopt the resolution saying we'd be willing to do it under, the appropriate circumstances, or do you want us to wait?
No,
What is your sort of feeling?
Mike and Sandy are both leadership too, and they were asking the questions as well. I'd say there'd be value in your adopting it, and then I'll take it to ours.
Okay.
But Mike and Sandy, thoughts?
I agree too, that could be a great basis for a conversation with the rest, the rest of the group. That gives us that starting line in essence.
Tangible, yeah.
Yeah, your commitment would be important and appreciated.
All right, well, then I asked my board, is there someone who'd be willing? I think Michelle and I are recommending it, so I guess we're the makers of the motion. We just need a second for the idea of this affiliation.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a moved in a second. Any questions about either the cover memo? It's a little bit long, but tried to give you all the background because we hadn't had a chance to have a really in-depth conversation in April. We had good conversation, but it wasn't as in-depth. I didn't have all the details from Tom then. And then the draft resolution is pretty straightforward. A lot of the same information we already have in our other partnership agreements with the city and so on. Okay, I'm not hearing any questions. It must be pretty clear.
A quick question. Did this refer to steering committee membership?
Let me see what it says. So
Okay.
basically it says, represent Hope for Creation on the steering team or related committees, whatever's practical solutions, systemic change, community outreach. So not your leadership group, but just kind of the broader group was what we were
All right,
trying to plug
represent-
into.
Yes, on the Hope for Creation.
Yep, yep,
team,
so
I
it's,
guess would be
yeah.
fine.
Okay, so take out the word steering maybe.
Yeah, I think that's all it would take.
Okay, all right, we can make that amendment. Thanks for that advice. Any other changes to the resolution or questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. We'll get Caitlin's signature. The motion is adopted. Tom, do you need anything else from us or do you have the copies you need?
I have the copies that I need. Thank you.
Perfect.
Right? This is
Yeah.
exciting.
And
Very
if you want
exciting.
any of us to come and chat, at one of your sessions to give question and answers just like this, we'd be happy to do that. Just let us know when.
Our next meeting is it Thursday? I think it's this week.
The
Thursday.
13th?
Thursday evening. We usually have kind of social virtual 6 to 6:30, and then 6:30 to I think Sandy is hoping for it lasting till 7:30. So we'll see if I'll get done.
How
But
energetic people are. All
great.
right, well,
So,
send me the invite.
Sandy, do you want to just make sure that Judy gets the
Judy and Michelle.
email invitation so she knows?
It's actually, Mike will do that. He's sending out the actual meeting
That's right.
invitation.
Perfect.
Yep, I'll take care of it.
Awesome.
Well, I would invite you to stay if you want to hear the rest of our discussion to learn more, but I know you all have busy schedules. So if you want to drop off, please feel free.
I need to leave, and I thank you all and keep up your good work. It's
Thank
exciting.
Thanks for sharing. I'm excited to get you guys back in motion in the
And we'll
community.
want to wait. We're waiting to hear that announcement from Scott too when that baby
Yeah.
arrives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Could be tonight.
could be anytime.
Good. Bye.
great. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Next topic on our agenda is just briefly touching on the board and officer recruiting. I did have a quick conversation, about 10 minutes with Steve Goff on a variety of topics, including board membership. His physical health has changed in such a way, and with the financial conditions and delayed trial and court dates with COVID, he is not going to be retiring as he had planned. He's going to work another, whatever his body will take, but 24 months, he thinks. So he'll still be our legal, pro bono advocate and help with various projects and fundraising and so on, but he's going to join the board at this time. So yeah, he's still part of us, but in a different way. So that's just news for you guys in terms of candidates. Katie and I had chatted about whether she'd be interested in being a candidate. She said she'd like to be on a committee and kind of keep the PR side of it going, given her Facebook group, and that was enough for now. So I'm happy she was able to join us tonight and share a little bit about her background. So we are still hoping to add a board candidate or two just to keep building our kind of working group knowledge before our July 1st sort of fiscal year starts again. So just keep that in mind. If you do have a candidate, I'll keep talking to people individually and see who we can find. All right. Public relations, I think Amanda, you are transitioning between home and work. I don't know if you're able to talk at all with Caitlin.
Yeah, I'm actually
home
parked
now?
in my driveway because it's
Perfect,
easier
perfect.
to try to get in there.
All right.
So,
So give us a quick update.
yeah, so just real quick, our PR meeting last month was unfortunately just me and Caitlin, but it's okay because we got a lot of stuff done. We played around a little more with the features on Meet Edgar to try to get posts scheduled that automatically go out. And it's set up in such a way that now we can assign content a category, and Meet Edgar will just pick one if we don't have something already assigned to that specific date and time slot, which is kind of really cool. So we're constantly having content being published. Unfortunately, I noticed yesterday was it is for some reason not posting to our Instagram.
Oh,
So we are working on troubleshooting why it is not posting on our Instagram. Because as part of our PR update, I thought it would be kind of nice if every month we give you an update at where we are in terms of our social media numbers. which is how I noticed that we weren't posting on Instagram, because I went to check. Just so you guys know, as of this afternoon, we have 66 followers on Instagram. And we currently follow 15 pages. They're various, like Trout Unlimited, a lot of our partners we follow. And then our Facebook, we actually have 268 individuals that follow us.
Oh, that's great. It doubled from last year at this time. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm hoping that by maybe doing that monthly update, it'll help at least our PR committee also kind of keep pulse on what we need to be doing, whether we're growing in terms of numbers, what we can do to help grow our social media presence, and things like that. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping the marketing plan alive.
Do our best.
Great. Yeah. I know you'd been working on an initiative with partner videos. Obviously, if we do well with the Hope for Creation pathway here, we'll want to join them in a commentary when it's appropriate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And
yeah,
then
if anybody also has any partners that they think, if any contact information for partners that we are officially partnered with, or that you think we should be officially partnered with, I'm Judy. I'm assuming you'd be open to having them come speak at a meeting like Hope for Creation did.
Yeah.
So then we can start growing that base.
Yep.
Yeah, I am trying to follow all of our partners on my personal Facebook, so that way I can see their content and share it on our pages a little easier.
Okay, great.
So
great.
I do have a quick question if we've got a quick moment. I guess for the entire group overall, has anybody had any recent contact with Friends of the Kinney, or with Michael Page and that crew?
I reached out to Emily last week Sunday. Yes, because Duke and I had been trying to get Michael and Emily to follow up with Shannon Zimmerman. I finally got what I thought was a current email address for Michael. I did send him a communication because I offered to have him call me or try to connect by phone, and he just said, send me an email. So I did, but that's, I have better luck getting Emily than I do getting Michael. I'm not sure why, but just, I think their life is what it is. So
yeah,
but I did connect with them at least and ask them to come to the table and let us know what Friends of the Kinney wants to do kind of in this situation, and can they help us with the lobbying effort, since they have a broader reach in the signed petition, which I think would have impact to Shannon, which is what I said to Michael, kind of remind him that we had, 2,500 signatures that said we wanted this, that kind of thing to help influence him.
And I guess the reason I asked the question in general is when you look at Friends of the Kinney's social media network, it's really, really impressive. Like, they were able to build a huge network of individuals. And I completely understand Mike not Mike. I'm thinking Mike Noreen.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael Page is he's a busy individual. He's a dad, he's a business operator, doctor, all those things. But I think there's a lot of potential for some collaboration there. And I guess I'd like to make sure that we're doing everything we can to continue that relationship. So
yep, I think it's a positive relationship. I just don't think they're very active right now for various reasons. So we'll have to figure out what we can do to help them as a partner.
Have you actually seen a posting from Friends of the Kinney?
I don't know that I have in a long time, but I do know that the vast majority of individuals that I talk to in the community and just on the Kinney about the Kinney, the project, the Kinney Corridor project overall, most people are under the impression that Friends of the Kinney is kind of the driving force still at this point. They don't realize that it's been kind of shifted into a different organization's hands. So I think that there's a lot of potential for some awareness when it comes to that whole picture. So.
Agreed, but from what I can tell, I have not seen a posting in months.
Okay.
So I just pulled up their Facebook actually, and they have not posted since April of 2019.
So with that said, do you think it would be worthwhile for maybe the public relations committee to reach out and see what potential there would be to work together if we were to offer up our support to them from a public relations standpoint and say, hey, what do you guys think about us assisting or even doing posts for you, given the lack of time on their end? I think
so here's my issue with that is it's a lot of work. And Caitlin and I both work full-time jobs. We're both moms. David is a rock star at keeping us moving forward, because our lives can get a little hectic. So like we're happy, I think, to probably discuss ways we are able to stay organized, like sharing our Meet Edgar information with them, and tools they can use. I think having, maybe if they did like an endorsement for us on their page so people can come over and like our page would be great. But in terms of running social media for them, we just don't have the time and resources to do it.
Okay.
It's a good question, though. We'll figure out a way to work together.
Yeah.
And support
That
them.
makes-
I
Judy,
time's
as
always
Judy
a
has-
constraint.
Yeah, as Judy has said, she is having difficulty getting a hold of the pages.
Yeah.
She's reached out to Emily, and Emily has responded. Michael has, I know, his guard work, his dentistry, and being another parent has apparently put enough on his plate that he is just not available.
Yeah.
He has not responded. If you run into him, or if you have a contact and can kind of wrestle him into the corner and talk to him and say, hey, what's up? That'd be great. Because I'd love to know
I could move
what
my
happened.
dental services to Page Dental. That
I was
would be
gonna
a way to
say-
get his time.
I was going to say I
Not-
haven't been to the dentist for a while myself. Maybe I should set up.
No, I'm not giving up my doctor.
You like
No.
Dr.
That'd be an
Eggers,
awkward. That'd be an
Doctor-
awkward conversation.
No, sorry, I'm not giving my doctor up.
Hard to talk, but that's one option, right? Is make an appointment. So yeah, we'll keep, I'll keep reaching out. I walk by his house every day with the dog, so there's always that opportunity, I guess. But yeah. All right. Thank you, Scott, for that thought. I know you're working with Brian Simoleski, and then we've got a joint meeting with KinniCC being scheduled through a series of doodle polls that is coming up, right? Or KRLT, sorry. So that's coming on the horizon as well. All right, weekly news or June newsletter, just touching base, reminding us that we'll need articles for that. I think we'll have a couple of things to recap. The Kinney monitoring plan is published, which I shared in the board invite, and it's on our page if you want to read through it. So basically that was a collaborative effort amongst all these groups that are already working together, including the city, to build out that plan. And it was great timing because we'll hear in the fundraising section, we've got a grant opportunity with NIFWIF that core monitoring plan is going to be a key element of why we're ready to get money from them. So this can be good timing. At least that's how I read it. So if there's any other articles, or Scott, if you want to take a picture of yourself on the river or send us one of your fish pictures, we can always publish, fishing's great on the Kinney and paddling's great on the Kinney, and work and play nice together if we want.
Preferably
Do
one
that.
without a cigar, but no.
Yeah, maybe not.
Sorry.
It was a good picture.
Yeah.
You must be talking about the baby reveal picture.
It was, yeah. You had it on your Facebook highlight this week.
That's right. I had second thoughts about that, but I don't know.
It was a good
That's
picture.
a good way to celebrate.
I'm just teasing.
And then we also want to celebrate and recognize David's hard work. He passed his pilot's license test for his drone operator official licensing. So we're fully
FAA
educated
certified.
and legal now.
Yay!
Yep,
Not that we'll do anything
FAA
different, but
certified.
he feels
I
he likes.
posted.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
I posted on the Facebook or the email with the videos. There was a small change to seeing if anybody noticed. Duke guessed that it was the seeding of Lake Louise, which it wasn't. And we probably want to talk about that, but it was the River Sky drone that now says FAA certified. So we are certified. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we'll keep flying every week and monitoring as a part of that plan and to provide content for our Facebook and to let people see what's going on in the river because not everybody can hike down there. So, yeah, I took one of the new university professors, part-time adjunct professors down there for a hike on Friday last week. And she'd been down to the swinging bridge in the year that she's been here. That's as far as she had been. So we hiked past Powell Dam and up the drainage ditch and around past Glen Park and over to Junction Falls and kind of talked about what was going on. She's heading up a donor-funded restoration institute for the CAFS students. So they're focused this year on forest restoration on campus and prairie restoration on campus, but know that they will need more projects. So I said, well, your timing's great because we'll have projects. So this could be a really good part of the university partnership. Oh yeah, that's the news, I guess, from making relationships. Duke, you're here. I didn't expect you. You're planning your next projects and funding committee meeting on?
Next Tuesday, 6:30.
All right, and I need to schedule a Zoom call and invite more people. You sent me an invite.
That would be great. Yep.
All right, I'll do that.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so the pre and post monitoring plan is done. So please review it. We're working through letters of influence and phone calls and emails to to Shannon Zimmerman and the Joint Finance Committee and all the other parties. I don't know, Duke, if there's anything you want to share shortly about that. We talked about it last time quite a bit.
Meeting Thursday morning with the Wisconsin TU folks and the lobbyist, and hopefully the city will be on board and Kayaptuish. I probably won't be able to make that, but that should be an update on where things are going in Madison. The Wisconsin TU folks and the lobbyists have been meeting with legislative leaders and leaders of joint finance, and they're concerned about having contact with Staff Schultz. And so Michelle, if you can energize that connection quickly so that people can have contact with Staff Schultz, that would be great. If that means your connection's connection or with Staff Schultz means that they're going to get in touch with them, we can talk with them about what to say, about points to make. The fact sheet itself is very helpful. And so those things are coming to a head fairly quickly. And there's a meeting. The meeting Thursday morning, pardon me, is with DNR folks at the executive level in Madison. And one of the key things there is we want to make sure that DNR is supportive of this effort and will say so to legislators, that they're willing to administer whatever funding comes to the city from the state's perspective. We have that assurance from Dan Bauman, the regional secretary's representative, but we want to get it from the secretary's office.
Is that Preston or someone on his staff?
Todd Ames, his first deputy. Okay. Yeah. And I don't know if Preston will be there or not.
Okay.
But
Kristen Cole, Assistant Secretary. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, I just want to be clear about this. I did reach out to my, he's a Hudson resident, so he's a little less involved with River Falls and that connection to it, but because he did organize one of his fundraisers, and I didn't really get into the fact that it may be something he's a little bit more, if he understands that maybe somebody with the same party affiliation would be on board with it, maybe that would be more encouraging to him. I think a lot of times they look at all of these issues through the prism of party affiliation first.
Sure.
And
sure.
So, yeah.
And that's great. And, Scott Wagner, the outgoing president of Kayaptuish Trout Unlimited, is speaks fluent Republican and is a Republican, and and contributed to Saf Schultz campaign. So he's going to make contact with him too. But if we can get a couple of these key contacts, these people that are not necessarily strangers to him, to make that contact, that's going to be really helpful. So if you want whoever that is to contact me or to contact either of our Wisconsin TU folks, the state people, they'll be well able to help brief that person. Okay.
Okay. I will tell you, his brother ran for city council person. So his brother lives in town, and his name is Paul. And I'll pass on his your information to Paul. Okay.
Great.
Paul is
Thank you.
connected in politics. Yeah.
I know Paul fairly well as well. If you don't mind, Michelle, I might just put a bug in his ear as well, that I'm in major support of this effort too, just to so he hears it from multiple perspectives. So
that would be great. I mean, definitely let's both text him about that, because then he'll get on it, because it's not his town. And anyways,
it's his back.
He's a St. Croix County supervisor though, so it somewhat impacts him. He's considered a supervisor in St. Croix County. Paul is.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michelle, for those connections, and Scott and Duke, thanks too for getting Rose Karpelka kind of squared away on the questions he had at the chamber. Really appreciate that.
Good. Well, I didn't see anything that indicated they actually sent that letter, but I think they were going to talk to the board.
I was going to say, Duke, have you heard any news on that letter being sent? I haven't seen any emails come through my inbox.
No, but I think Russ was going to square it away with his board.
Yeah, he's going to talk to the board, which will be this week. Right? Their board meeting's on Thursday too.
Okay. I'll make sure to be at that meeting. So.
Yeah, if you can, if you're not having a baby.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So board action request. National Fish and Wildlife Association sent out their blast email, and Kevin and team sent it on to us, and I jumped on it because we'd done the work to apply before. Remember, for the 5-star grant, but we weren't even officially recognized by the IRS at the time, and I think it was just more of a hurdle that they could get over. We weren't granted, but we know how to kind of work through the system. And it happens that the grant coordinator on Bring Back the Native Fish, BBN, just moved over 2 months ago from the 5-star program, so she knows who we are. And when I called her and said, "Hey, it's great to see your name on this. I have a bunch of eligibility questions," she's like, "Great to talk to you." So we already they know who we are. This is good. This is a good start. It's a warm start. It makes me feel a lot better about applying, even if it's just a lot of hoops to jump through. But the seminar for all about it is next Wednesday, and then the pre-application is due by the 3rd, which basically tells them officially we're applying, right?
Okay. Judy, the overarching question on this is, what native are we seeking to benefit?
Well, in this case, it would be the brown and brook, right?
Brown trout are not natives. And
we could do the brook trout, though, although it's not the great stream for it, right?
Well, that's the hurdle that we ran into the last time we considered Bring Back the Natives.
Yeah. Is there something else you can try in your mind, Scott or Duke, a fish that we could pursue?
I think the brook trout. Oh, go ahead, Duke. This is more your realm than mine.
Yeah, I sought out Casey Yaleli, who is a DNR fisheries biologist, and Louise Malden, who is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service fisheries biologist, and Marty, and Louise said, if you can tell me that this is going to benefit a brook trout population significantly in the lower river, I'll get excited about it. But barring that, no. And she would be making a recommendation to NIFLF for this.
Okay. So we think we'll have that hurdle, is just that the brook trout opportunity there is nominal.
At best. There are a few brook trout that come from the South Fork and Rocky Run and another tributary quite a ways down. But they all believe that no matter what we do with the dam, the lower river will still be a brown trout dominant river, and they're not a native. They're an introduced species, and they're not doing anything to support them.
Is Kent Johnson's data consistent with that as well? I know that Kent has mentioned that in the I guess some of his findings would suggest otherwise, that we could potentially see a big improvement for the brookies.
Well, I don't know that Kent was at all studying the conditions on the river from a perspective of its potential impact on a brook trout population. And I'll, the upper river has plenty of spring inflow that makes it prime brook trout habitat. And if you decided you wanted to get rid of 4,000 brown trout per mile on the upper river, you could probably make it a complete brook trout river until they came back in, and then they take it over again. Judy, your question about is there another species that we might be able to benefit? It's possible that we could find a biologist to say removing the dams and changing the thermal regime downstream could have a positive impact on another fish species that's inherent in cold water streams and is not a trout, but is part of the cold water assemblage. And the things that would come to mind would be a dace species and a sculpin species. Now, I don't know if either of our biologists would say a potential benefit to those species is enough to warrant, and those, by the way, are native species. Mm-hmm. There has been a sculpin in your part of the state that has been on the either species of special concern list or the threatened species list. And it's been shown that cold waters, that healthy cold water communities harbor those fish. Now, can we get somebody to make the jump and say, removing the dam dams will have enough of an impact on the thermal conditions downstream that it will benefit those natives? That'd be very interesting to see somebody give that opinion.
Well,
so I'll make an inquiry to Casey, who's in charge of monitoring the fish assemblages in both the upper and lower river, and see if she would be willing to discuss those and give us an opinion.
Okay.
I can probably get an email out to her tonight.
Yeah, I don't think in any of the study work we did, we inventoried anything like that. I mean, we really relied on the DNR studies, so that would be the only source for fish inventory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Do you think I might be missing some specifics here, but just to reiterate, is there an entity or individual who is definitively saying that the dam removal will not benefit the brook trout population?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Margaret, right? From
Casey and Marty have both said that. Yep. And Louise would look at evidence if she had it from anywhere, but
yeah.
So
I just as a fisherman who has caught plenty of brookies in the Kinney myself, I just don't understand how one could determine that it won't benefit them. I mean, they're in the upper Kinney very, I guess, healthily. Mm-hmm. Not so much in the lower Kinney, but in the tributaries of the lower Kinney fairly healthily. And the dams and impoundments are a major buffer. So removing those dams and impoundments gives them more room. I don't understand how you could infer that it wouldn't help the brookies.
Well,
I'm not by you. I don't mean you.
I'm not the biologist. I was trying mightily to get them to. I asked them all the open-ended, leading questions that I could possibly. All the questions that I could
tried.
think of to
Yeah,
try
I
and
know you
lead
tried
them
to make a
to
case, so.
giving that an opinion, and I didn't get it. So, I'll share that with you if you want, but you'll see. So,
Well,
and I had a day on the lower Kinney with Andy Roth, and I probably caught in the first 10 casts I caught 5 brook trout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to do a
There.
better fish species population study to prove our case. Huh? That'll be part of our grant request. Like, we need to prove
Oh.
it. We need to prove it.
Okay.
All right.
I
Well,
I just think-
it's one of the good grant opportunities that's coming up. It'll be worth sort of the organizing effort to see what we can put together, because we can use it for other grant applications if we can, or foundation applications. So I don't think it hurts us to kind of work on this as a motivator. But if you think it's not worth the effort, Duke, I mean, I'll take that to heart and go work on something else.
I appreciate that. Okay.
all-
I'll,
from
Michelle.
kind of an outsider's point of view, I just have to say that the idea that that you could find somebody that would support the fact that we have a species of fish in the river that people are fairly unaware of, and that by going forward we could help support it from becoming less endangered, that is emotional for people. That gets
It
people
is, for sure.
invested in a way that some of the other stuff they just take for granted. So, I mean, if there's like, I've never heard of that fish, if there's a chance, and heck, that species exists in the river, and by supporting some positive changes, we could help that species. I think it opens up a lot of grant funding opportunity. I mean, I'll just say, I had a fisher in my backyard. I've told absolutely everybody I know about it, just because it is such an amazing thing to see such an amazing animal, and people
And they're
get excited
huge.
and tell stories, and then it opens up all of that, and then you get the hook in, and no pun intended, So yeah.
Yeah, like if we can
The
find
sculpin
it,
could
right?
become our mascot, right? Never mind the trout.
If we could find a threatened fish species in our river, that would be a PR gold mine.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it would be PR gold mine.
Well, the brookies are technically threatened, right, Duke, or considered? a
No.
fish- No,
no. Sorry.
not yet, huh?
No.
In the long run, maybe, but
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
All right.
Short.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll do
Okay.
some research.
Well,
Thank you for
well,
that.
I hope the one that we could establish as threatened is not the slimy sculpin, because they're hard to love.
Okay.
But we'll work on what we can.
We'll see what we can. Maybe it'll be the
I'll
best.
scope out and see what I can get.
Okay, well, thank you or point me to the right person. I just don't know the questions to even ask, so. All right, and then anything else on that?
You want a resolution that endorses us going forward on that
Yep,
for the
I
time
do
being,
if you
Judy?
think it's worth doing, so that's why I drafted it.
Let's pass it. Then you have that
Gotta be
underpinning in place. Okay? I'd move to pass it.
Okay,
Move to approve.
move to approve, all right, and I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you for the discussion. I think we've worn that out. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Right. Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. We will pursue it if we can find a fish to champion. And even if we can't, maybe. All right, any other business for the good of the order? I realized last time we had quite a few new business or other business items, so I left more space. I know we're coming to the bottom of the hour here, or top of the 7 o'clock, so. Anything anybody else wants to ask or share?
Just that it'll be fun to see all of you in person soon.
Soon. Yeah, I agreed. Can get a conversation going here about, once everybody's vaccinated, about getting together in person outside someplace, Scott. We talked about that as a possibility, so we'll work on that for June.
Yeah, Glen
And
Park venue.
we can't wait to see a healthy baby, Scott.
That's gonna be awesome.
Same
All right.
here.
I
Looking forward
adjourn the
to it.
meeting then. Thank you all, and
All
good
right.
luck with the birth, and we'll look forward to celebrating that.
Good to see you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Good luck, Scott.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, guys.